Hello, BookTube. Looking at today's mail haul, I'm reminded of something that we, oh, that's my little girl in the background. I'm reminded of something that we often forget in the midst of all the ranting and the fun, which is that these things are work-related. These things they're coming to me under the aegis of Open Letters Monthly, the literary journal where I am the managing editor, for review, possible review. So, in every mail haul, in every new mail haul, I'm thinking about what I will review. I'm thinking about what I can send out for review to other people. And I thought we'd go through this mail haul with that in mind. There are 10 packages here. I want to see how it shakes out in terms of review estimations. And along those lines, I should repeat what I've said in a few videos now, which is that if you yourself want to try your hand at reviewing for an audience, let me know, and I will be happy to help. Open Letters is always open to new writers, and as you can see when you watch this channel, I have plenty of books that I could send you if there's a subject that interests you. Interest and want being the key words here, as I've mentioned a couple of times before. If your response to me saying, I'm an editor and a professional book reviewer, and I'm offering you a chance to break into that field, if your response to that is, if you send in something, I might scribble you a few words, then you're wasting your time and mine. Your casualness does not impress me. If you really want to do it, I will help you. So if you feel that way, feel free to let me know. So anyway, let's go through these and see how they shake out review-wise. In addition to whether or not, like the last two, there are any good vibes or bad vibes, because those aren't always the same two things. Let's see what this first one is here. Okay, this is by Jonathan Moore. Comes out next year, so we won't be thinking about it at all for a review of any kind. The Night Market. I think this is a thriller. Yeah, it's late Thursday night, and Inspector Ross Carver is at a crime scene in one of the city's last luxury homes. Let's say what city. The dead man on the floor is covered by an unknown substance that's eating through his skin. Before Carver can identify it, 6 FBI agents burst in and remove him from the premises. He's pushed into a disinfectant trailer, forced to drink a liquid that sends him into seizures, and is shocked unconscious. Sounds like marriage number 2 and number 4 of mine to Deb. On Sunday, he wakes in his bed to find his neighbor, Mia, who he's barely ever spoken to, reading aloud to him. He can't remember the crime scene or how he got home. He has no idea 2 days have passed. Okay, I'm hooked. I requested this because it looked really interesting. I guess it's set in the near future. In the near future, but it's far enough. It's far enough in my near future so that I need not think about it. So let's just go on to the next one for now. Because the end of the year brings all sorts of work requirements and festivities, and of course, the greatest literary event of the year, the Steve Reeves annual best and worst books of the year. And so I tend not to think about 2018 books. I'll think about them when 2018 dawns, unless it's something that I want to get to a freelancer now, because most freelancers need an ungodly amount of time to get ready to write a book. Oh, good. Oh, fantastic. This next one also comes out in January, but I will certainly be reviewing it, and that's interesting. That's exactly what we're looking at here in this mail haul. This is an upcoming novel called Oliver Loving that I dipped into it in the book room of a newspaper here in Boston and couldn't put it down, so I had to have a copy of my own, and I definitely want to review it. This is the book. It's Oliver Loving by Stephen Merrill Block. Who grew up in Texas, and his first novel, The Story of Forgetting, won the Best Fiction at the Rome International Festival of Literature. And The Storm at the Door is his second novel, and Oliver Loving, I guess, is his third book. I a little unclear on that, but that's all right. Let's see here. The fate of Bliss, Texas, rests in the hands of one boy. Lonely 17-year-old Oliver Loving has no interest in going stag to Bliss Township School's annual dance, but with his father's urging, one warm November night, he puts on a suit and heads to the school gymnasium, hoping for a glimpse of his crush, Rebecca Sterling. And then the unthinkable happens. BTS graduate Hector Espina enters the school with a gun, killing several students and one teacher and leaving Oliver in a coma. Nearly 10 years after, Oliver is still silent and paralyzed. The town of Bliss is frozen too. The high school has been shuttered, and without it, the town has crumbled. Oliver's family members are stuck tracing their own orbits around his bed. Oliver's mother, Eve, keeps up a hopeful vigil. His brother, Charlie, flees to New York, where he struggles to write a book about the past, and his father, Jed, tries to erase the memory with bourbon. Then one day, no different from the rest, a new medical test promises a key to unlock Oliver's trapped mind. And I read enough of this, in one sitting to know that I'm going to enjoy the rest of it. So it's a perfect opportunity, a perfect example of a book where I won't bother to delegate it to a freelancer. I will put it on my own November review lineup somewhere. It depends on where. I have at Open Letters. In 2018, I will have the table of contents, the main table of contents piece, because my year with the tutors 2 will be over. So I'll be free and clear to navigate on the main table of contents. And then I also have Open Letters Weekly, which are shorter 1,000-word reviews that refresh far more often. I do far more reviewing there. And then there are also paid venues that I review regularly for a large number of paid venues, one of which might want Oliver Loving. You never know. Try to steer clear of fiction, other than when I've got my own druthers, but sometimes it happens, and sometimes I'm happy to have it happen. But anyway, so we have 2 2018 books, both of which are probably likely reviews, but one of them I know for sure. Oliver Loving, I'm definitely going to review somewhere. I want to be a part of that conversation. Okay, this next one is one that I did not request. This comes out also in 2018. This is The Affliction by Beth Gutchin, the second installment in her clever romp of a mystery series combining social comedy and dark-hearted murder. A novel set at a girls' boarding school in a picturesque Hudson River town with more than its share of secrets. Definitely not up my alley, definitely not my thing, but I will test it. I will read a chunk of it, and if it grabs me, then I'll review it. If it doesn't grab me, I still know, even from that description, that there are plenty of people it would grab. So that makes it perfect freelancer fodder, especially this far ahead. I have a chance to, dangle it in front of a freelancer and see if they'll take the bait. Let's move on here. What is this next one? Gotta check to see if these are. I think these are all just the day's first mail. Yeah, I think this is all just the first shipment of the day. Okay, all right. This is almost certainly review bait, almost certainly for me too. I doubt very much that I would want to delegate this to somebody else. This comes out in 2018 as well. This is The Chateau by Paul Goldberg, the author of The Yid, which I read, and it went right through me. I didn't care one way or another about it, but it stuck with me, as some novels will do. It has really stuck with me, and made me think that this author is the real thing. So getting a new book, I'll probably want to grapple with this myself rather than delegate it. Although it's a prime thing to delegate because it's an interesting up and coming author. All right, let's move on here. You'll notice one thing that's significantly missing so far, while we keep an eye out for review fodder. There's one particular genre that's significantly missing. And there you go. I no sooner have to complain than the lack is filled. Caesar's Footprints by Bijan Omrani. This comes out in early December. And let's see here. Julius Caesar's conquests in Gaul in 50s BC were bloody, but the cultural revolution they brought in their wake forever transformed the ancient Celtic culture of that country. After Caesar, the Gauls exchanged their tribal quarrels for Roman values and acquired the paraphernalia of civilized urban life. The Romans also left behind a legacy of language, literature, law, government, religion, architecture, and industry. What have the Romans ever done for us? Each chapter of Caesar's Footprints is dedicated to a specific journey of exploration through Roman Gaul. Isn't that fascinating? From the amphitheaters of Arles and Nîmes to the battlefield of to the battlefield where Attila the Hun was defeated. The author, an exciting and authoritative new voice in Roman history, explores archaeological sites, artifacts, and landscapes to reveal how the imprint of Roman culture shaped Celtic France. Fantastic. Okay, fantastic. This is, a perfect example of something that I will write about myself, unless I can find a history buff to write about it instead. The thing is, when I'm a very prolific book reviewer, and when you are a very prolific book reviewer, you gain a much greater elasticity on what books you will and will not hold on to. If I get, like, a book like this is right up my alley. But even though it's right up my alley, if I find a writer who I think will actually write about it, I'll gladly step aside and write about something else. There's plenty of other things to write about. And if the benefit of me stepping aside and writing about something else is another voice in the course, that's great. The only circumstances in which I will not do that, there are two. One is if the book is not only up my alley, but a direct bullseye. Then I'm going to be unlikely to give that up to someone else, unless I think they can do a better job than I can. And two, if the book's publicist particularly wants me to review it, which does happen, and I'm very, very touched by that. And that's also usually a case where I will just say, well, okay, by the same token, there are plenty of other books for you to review. I would like to do this one. But that doesn't happen that often. So let's see what the next one is here. Oh, great. Okay, fantastic. This is the finished copy of Emanuel Bergman's The Trick. And this comes out in late September, and it's another aspect of a working mail haul. This is a book that I am already slated to review. So that's fantastic, and I cover my bases with things like these. I'm slated to review this for the Christian Science Monitor, but I cover my bases as far as open letters goes by making sure that I have duplicates in case someone connected with open letters or freelancer I could find would like to review this themselves, so that I'm not letting another venue poach right under my own nose. Let me see here. What's this next one? In one of these priority mail envelopes that I send out by the pile to all of you. And the reason that I do this, even instead of putting them in manila envelopes, is what you're seeing right now. They're virtually impossible to open. They're virtually impossible to knock open. They're virtually impossible to fail to reach their recipient, which paper manila envelopes quite often do. Oh, you're kidding me. That's another Roman book. Oh my. Okay, this comes out in November. This is The Fate of Rome. Climate, Disease, and the End of an Empire by Kyle Harper, in which the author broadens the typical picture of Rome. The typical picture of the end of Rome is that the state was enervated by pervasive slavery and constantly attacked piecemeal by increasingly powerful barbarian tribes from the edges of the Imperium, and that those two things combined to bring about the downfall of the empire in the West. And this author wants to paint a broader picture than that, wants to stress from the records that there are a lot of other factors involved. Let's see if it doesn't have a pub sheet at all. No, it doesn't. All right. Well, anyway, I don't think the thing comes with a description. Oh no, here we go. Here's the monumental retelling of one of the most consequential chapters of human history, the fall of the Roman Empire. The Fate of Rome is the first book to examine the catastrophic role of climate change and infectious disease in the collapse of Rome's power, a story of nature's triumph over human ambition. Interweaving a grand historical narrative with cutting-edge climate science and genetic discoveries, the author traces how the fate of Rome was decided not just by emperors, soldiers, and barbarians, but also by volcanic eruptions, solar cycles, climate instability, and devastating viruses and bacteria. So even if the author doesn't manage to convince, I still think this is going to be absolutely fascinating, and I'd kind of like to review it for something. In fact, now I'm thinking if a third book. I mean, this one comes out in early December. The Caesar's Footprints comes out in early December, and The Fate of Rome comes out in mid-November. So that's, you know, one more, and you've got a roundup of Roman books. That's it's kind of intriguing right there. Anyway, let's move on here. Let's keep going. This is the next one. What have we here? Oh my. It's an Olive book. Oh my. This is the Lost Season of Love and Snow by Jennifer Lamb. You can't really make it out on the cover, but the woman is looking at the minarets of Moscow, of St. Petersburg. Let's see here. The unforgettable novel of Alexander Pushkin's beautiful wife Natalia. At the age of 16, Natalia Goncharova is stunningly beautiful and intellectually curious, but while she finds joy in French translations and a history of Russian poetry, her family is more concerned with her marriage prospects. It is only fitting that during Christmas of 1828, at her first public ball in her hometown of Moscow, she attracts the romantic attention of Russia's most lauded poet, Pushkin. Enchanted at first sight, Natalia is already a devoted reader of Alexander's serialized novel in verse, Eugene Onegin. The most recently published chapter ends in a duel, and she is dying to learn what happens next. Finding herself deeply attached to Alexander's intensity and joie de vivre, Natalia hopes to see him again as soon as possible. Oh. All right. So this comes out, what does this come out? Wow, next year as well. This is the advanced copy. I'll be getting the finished copy. Then one of these vacuum pack things. What is this next one? Okay. All right. This is a paperback original that comes out in early September, called The Warrior's Guide to the End of the World. Love, Loss, and Other Catastrophes Through Italy, India, and Beyond. By Tori DeRoche, who is at rock bottom following a breakup and her father's death when she crosses paths with the goofy and spirited Masha, who is pursuing her dream of walking the world. When Masha invites Tori to join her pilgrimage through Tuscany, Tori straps on a pair of flimsy steel street shoes, and gets rambling. Okay, so I did not request this. It's a paperback original, so no one's going to pay me to review it. And it doesn't sound at all like my cup of tea. So it has the least chance of anything that we've encountered so far, although I will read it. And then the last thing is a box. That's it. This will be it for today. How are we going to get our way in here? Just going to destroy it? Is that the easiest way to do this? Oh, okay. Okay, great. This is a finished copy of something we've seen here already. I ranted that this should be done, and it did happen. The Killing Files by Mickey Owen is just a high-quality trade paperback, not a hardcover at all. This is a Project Trilogy novel, the second book in the Project Trilogy. Dr. Maria Martinez is out of prison, exonerated of a murder she still doesn't remember. But even though she's a free woman, she's on the run. A file exists, the contents of which would mean life or death for Maria, and members of the Project with a capital P, the ruthless underground organization that framed her for murder, are after her because of it. Okay, so I don't think I realized when I first when I got the advanced copy of this, that it was part of a trilogy. So as we've seen on this channel a few times, I would have to get the other volume in the trilogy, and there's no. It's a paperback original, so no one is going to pay me to review it. And since it's the second book in a trilogy, and since most freelancers are frail, fragile things, there's no possibility that I'm going to send 2 books in a trilogy to a freelancer and get anything except notes of panic and impending suicide. So if I'm going to review it, if it's going to get reviewed, it's going to be by me. So I will get the first book and read it and see how that goes. So we had an uneven up and down style of a working mail haul here. There's the Killing Files, which is not a very good prospect, except by me. Then The Warrior's Guide to the End of the World, which is not a very good prospect. Then The Lost Season of Love and Snow, a historical novel about Pushkin. Then Caesar's Footprints and The Fate of Rome. Both are prime review candidates. By me or by somebody else. Then The Trick in a finished copy, which I am reviewing. Then The Chateau by Paul Goldberg, which is going to get reviewed in a lot of places. It's going to have buzz to it. Then The Affliction by Beth Gutchin. Then Oliver Loving, which I am certainly going to write about, unless I can find somebody. Well, no, for Open Letters Monthly, I am certainly going to write about it myself. I will have an extra copy in case somebody else wants it, but. And then The Night Market by Jonathan Moore, a thriller set in the near future. So there are candidates here, definitely. And I'll wrap up here rather than go long, and I'll see you again soon. Thank you, BookTube.